What's up, everybody? We've got Scott Aaron with us here today. Super excited about this one because with Scott, him and I are both LinkedIn junkies. We both know that that is the place to be. It's the hidden gem. And people are always asking us about this, Scott. It's one of the reasons I wanted you in the group today because people are always asking me, how do you get leads so easily? And it's like, man, LinkedIn, because there's no competition. It's just so easy. And we're going to talk about that and multiple other things, but I want you to give us a little bit of background of how you got into LinkedIn in the first place.
Yeah. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and for those watching, it's great to meet all of you. My name is Scott Aaron, originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, now in the South Jersey area, about 50 miles west of Atlantic City, if you guys are familiar. So the quote unquote Jersey Shore, not where the Jersey Shore people hung out, but just a little bit more north of that. So that there's no pounding the floor in this house. So, you know, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And so sales and connecting and really networking has been always a deep-rooted part of who I am. And that goes back to when I was a personal trainer and gym owner. So for anyone that's ever been in that profession, you're constantly having to market yourself, and you're constantly having to network with yourself and for yourself. But here's the thing. I started in the late 90s. And this is even before, there was AOL. There really wasn't any way to really market yourself. There was no social media. So I was used to really talking to people and promoting myself and promoting my services and, what are your needs? How can I serve you? Then obviously as business started to move into the more online realm, I kind of saw some changes. And it actually, what really prompted me to get into online marketing was in 2013, a friend of mine asked me, I had a flourishing 6-figure personal training practice, which, sounds good, but it really just meant that I was trading time for dollars, and every hour that I was spending was training people. Right. And he said to me, if you got sick or injured where you could not train people, what would you do for income? And it was a really interesting but also scary question to be asked, because I didn't know, because all I knew was how to trade time for dollars. If I trained, I knew I would make money. I didn't know there was another way. So he said, you should take a look at this opportunity. And the opportunity ended up being network marketing. Now, I didn't think it was a Ponzi or a pyramid. Like I said, I've never had a boss. I've been psychologically unemployable since day one. So I knew the power of leveraging your income. And in this case, leveraging other people's efforts based on your own effort to duplicate itself. So I was still growing my gym and my personal training practice, and started to go all in with this network marketing business. And I kind of saw the light of day. And my big aha moment was, it was about 3 months in. It was, I was on a family vacation down the shore in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. And I got an email from the company that said, dear Scott, congratulations, you've just earned $660 this week. And I was floored. Not because of the value of what was in that email, but two things. Number one, I got paid while I was sitting on the beach.
Right.
And number two, it was the first time at that point, 15 years as a personal trainer and gym owner, that I ever made $1 that was not me training someone for my time. So I saw this big aha moment, went all in the 4.5 years that I built my network marketing business. I made close to $400,000. And I pivoted again about 2.5, 3 years into my network marketing experience, because like you, I saw that LinkedIn was a hidden gem. I started talking about it 5 years before Gary Vee did. So everyone thinks that he discovered LinkedIn, but you and I have been kind of shouting it from the rooftops for the last couple of years, but
last decade.
Basically, I had an account since 2009, but didn't really start using it until 2015, just about 5 years ago, because I was seeing a lack of leads. I was seeing a lack of engagement, and I was seeing a lack of conversation. People didn't want to get off Messenger. They didn't want to get out of your DM.
Right.
They didn't want to get on the phone with you. And I'm like, all right, if I want to grow a business, I need to be on a business-focused platform. So I remember one of my first mentors, you and I were speaking about her earlier, Susan Sly, and she said to me, she goes, when you wake up every single morning, you need to look yourself in the mirror and you have to ask yourself, how am I going to connect with me today? The business version of me, not the consumer version of me. So I went on to LinkedIn and changed my profile around to make it look a little bit more professional. I started searching and connecting and messaging people, started setting up call after call after call, and my business started to boom. And I reached out to a friend of mine, Joe Alonzo, and I said, Joey, listen, you got to get on LinkedIn. It's a gold mine for network marketing. I'm like, here's what you need to do A, B, and C of what I knew at the time. And a week later, he texted me and he said, call me. So I did. And I said, what's up? And he goes, dude, whatever you're doing, he goes, it works. He goes, I got 14 calls booked this week. He goes, you should be teaching this. So again, I'm a systems-driven person. I write workouts up for people. I've been writing nutrition plans for people. This was no different. I wrote up a business plan for people. So in February of 2016, I launched my LinkedIn coaching practice where I work with network marketers, online entrepreneurs, following the 4 layers of LinkedIn that I discovered are optimal for not only building an organic network, but building real connections that are leading to greater impact where the income then shows up. So everything I've done, it's by hand. There's no automation. It's literally you getting in the trenches and becoming the best human connector that you can be. And that's basically how I made that pivot from brick and mortar to network marketing to now online business coaching.
Yeah, and it's an awesome story because we both have a very similar story. We both started in network marketing. I did not have as much success as you in that sector. But there was a lot of good lessons learned there. And then, like you said, with LinkedIn, I mean, just the true value of it. One of the things that I'm excited to talk about with this, because there's a word that is kind of thrown around a lot. And I think it's kind of like a gross word. People don't like it, which is networking. They're like, oh, it's that necessary evil. Like it has to be done or what have you. But one of the things that I really liked with our first conversation, I still remember this because we both have been like believing this forever. And you're like the first person to agree with me on this, is like, it has nothing to do with how much I can give somebody. It has everything to do with how we collaborate, how we work together on something. And that for me is why our business has grown so well in the LinkedIn space, because everybody else is like, oh, I'm going to give value, or I'm just going to take. And there's the givers and the takers, but then the people who maximize right in the middle, the collaborators, are the ones who win hardcore.
Well, I think, this goes back to actually, one of the first conversations that we had 3-4 months ago was I believe in the teachings of the science of getting rich.
Right.
And it's a book written by Wallace D. Wattles. It was written in 1910, one of the first, I think the first money mindset book written. And he simply stated, instead of living in a world of competition and comparison, live in a world of collaboration and creation. He said collaboration and creation lead to the riches. He goes, competing and comparing will make you broke. So I'm all like, when someone says, hey, let's collaborate, let's create something, it's always yes, because I know that's someone that believes in the same teachings as me. And the only way, back to your point, the only way to create collaboration and the only way to create creation is to network. It doesn't just show up. You have to make it happen. And that's why I love LinkedIn so much, because people are so open and willing to get on a phone call, to get on a Zoom call and talk about how can we support each other? What is it that we're both doing where we can merge and then help even more people? An army of 2 is twice as strong as an army of 1.
Yeah, love that. Well, and what you're talking about is really interesting, because LinkedIn, where it differentiates from any other platform. I mean, so I post on LinkedIn, or I post on Facebook. Let's just say I connect with somebody on there who's another business. They never reach out to me and say, hey, can we hop on a call? But on LinkedIn, that happens like 5 times a day. And a lot of them, I mean, I would say 4 out of the 5 are typically not salesmen. They're just wanting to truly network. And they're the people who you're saying, they're the collaborators and the creators who you just say yes, because you can find some way to work together.
Well, I just got off before this. I got off a call, and it was two women business partners that were thinking about working with me. And the one girl said, I was using LinkedIn about a year ago, and all it was, every time I got on the phone with someone, they were just trying to sell me something. And she goes,
Right.
was I doing something wrong? And I said, probably yes. And she goes, well, what was I doing wrong? I'm like, you were connecting with the wrong people. I'm like, if you really look at the way that someone initially reaches out to you, or you look at their profile, you'll know if they're going to try to sell you something or they're going to look to collaborate or connect. So you have to really vet out the quantity of people to really find the quality people.
And honestly, LinkedIn has some of the best tools for that. We pay for the premium subscription. You don't have to, but
You don't. I use the free version.
there you go. And you can totally use it, because the reason we do is I actually specifically look for podcasters. The reason why is almost every single one of them is a creator and a collaborator.
And they're willing to get on the phone to have a conversation.
Yeah, almost every single one. And we're talking people who are worth millions of dollars who are willing to hop on a conversation. Where like if you were reaching out to like digital marketing agencies, for example, they're probably just going to try and sell you, right? But they're also they could be good collaborators, but they kind of shoot the relationship in the foot.
Yeah, I've experienced that many times. Some people just don't understand when people can smell desperation, but they can also smell a sale pitch coming.
Right.
And I don't believe in sales pitches. I don't ever try to sell anyone. I try to build as much value as possible and add value to someone else's life where they'll say, you know what? I really love what you're about and what you're doing, and I think I need to work with you. So, you're selling without selling. People don't understand that you don't have to sell. You add value. You do things without expecting anything back in return, and you leave people better because they're going to remember how you were treated. And people remember how the good people treated them, people that treated them good. They will shout your names from the rooftop. I get referrals all the time from clients because how I left them better. And that's what it's all about. How are you, what kind of legacy are you leaving right now with the people that you're working with?
Yeah. Well, and I want to add a point to that because I love this synergy we have, man. But what you're talking about and the value of those relationships is that some of the best sales you'll ever make are ones that you never had to make, right? They're the ones where people just hand you a client. And I think that kind of comes from network marketing for both of us, right? The referrals are the best. But one of the true things, one of the reasons a lot of people fail at this is they will come in and start, they try to figure out the person, right? They're trying to say, okay, like, how can I manipulate this conversation or what have you? But I know for myself, I never sell. I wait until they ask me for what I have. And it's faster than you think. And a lot of people think they have to put in all this effort and they have to give. And it's like the value you have to give. Sometimes you don't even have to solve their problem. Most people just want a real human being to talk to them and to listen to their problems and to listen to their successes and to validate them, right? And that has become something for me that I've enjoyed when I hop on calls with people is I'm like, okay, I'm not even here to sell you. Like, let's become friends because friends pay each other, right? Anyways, that's my point.
How can we, I was like the guy that you and I were talking in an offline conversation about, one of my buddies who's a personal trainer, he's looking to go online. And he said, Scott, he goes, I just don't want to be one of those scammy, spammy online fitness entrepreneurs that I see that say they're making millions. And I said, listen, here's the deal. They may be making millions, but they're spending millions to actually earn millions, which means they're actually not making much money at all. They're giving the image of success. I do, my wife and I, we do a manifestation guided meditation every night before we go to bed. And, depending upon, how it's coming up, you'll get some sort of sponsored ad before. And there's this guy, that pops up in the sponsored ad. And he's like, just got a text from a client. Just closed his first $2,000 sale following my 7 simple steps in the system I created. And meanwhile, he's walking on the rooftop of a hotel, and there's a McLaren, there's a Porsche, Ferrari, just walking by these cars, right? And he's like leaning on them. And he goes, this guy was working paycheck to paycheck, and, all these broke thought people, they just don't know what it takes. These 7, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why the coaching profession has been under such a microscope lately is because of the social image that people are giving it. And you and I know this, the most successful coaches in the world, you will never see some of their stuff on social media. You will never see their YouTube ad. You may not even see a sponsored video on Facebook. Some of the most successful coaches are behind the scenes, connecting with real people on a platform like LinkedIn and growing their business. Because again, it's not so much about social awareness, it's about who's making the most human connection. Because that's the best building block. You could have a great funnel, you could have a great email sequence, that's all great, that nurtures your audience. But if you're not willing to get on the phone with people and actually have a human-to-human conversation, you're never going to be able to close a sale.
Right. Well, and people, I think, overestimate how much time it takes. I mean, I've seen people grow 6-figure businesses in 6 months with like 2 or 3 hours a night. So after they're done working a full-time job. You know, we both talk about this guy, Alex Sanfilippo. I'm just going to shout out to him in here. I don't even know that's how you say his last name, but the dude works in the aerospace industry. So he already makes a great income. But he's running this amazing business on this in the evenings. Yep. And he's living a great life. And like you're saying, you don't see people like him going out and saying, oh, here's my amazing car. Like if he was smart, he'd go stand in front of a private jet, right? This is my private jet. But no, I completely agree with you on that one. Well, so I think we've sold people on the concept, right? It's like LinkedIn is a place to be. And I hope people are getting that because I preach this like crazy. It's nice to have somebody else support me in this one. So let's talk a little bit about strategy and the way that you're using it to get these leads.
So I to make it very simple, not to overwhelm people, I called this the layer cake of LinkedIn. And if you can picture a 4-tier cake, you have the biggest tier at the bottom, and then medium, small, and then you have the little cherry on top. So the foundation of what needs to be done on LinkedIn, that first layer is your profile. And I have free downloads everywhere. If someone goes to my website, scottaaron.net, you click on free infographic, it actually gives you the 6 steps to perfecting your profile on LinkedIn. Because here's the beautiful thing. LinkedIn is now being used like a search engine. So people are using LinkedIn like Amazon. They're using it like Yahoo. They're using it like Google. So if you're a coach, if you're a podcaster, and that is not really listed on your profile, you're invisible. LinkedIn, on your profile, it shows you your dashboard stats. It will show you how many people have viewed your profile, how many searches you've appeared in, and then if you put out a piece of content, how many people engaged with the most recent piece. And if those numbers are not in the thousands, you are not optimizing your profile. So you must make sure that you're optimizing your profile, not selling or pitching, but welcoming people into who you are and what you do and how you help others. That's what people want to know. Not how you can sell them, not how you can pitch them, but how they can walk alongside of what you're doing, because eventually there may be something that you can do for them. So filling out your experience section, your education, licenses and certifications, volunteer experience, getting personal recommendations. I've spent the last 3+ years, and I've gathered close to 400 written recommendations of people that I've worked with my system. So I don't have to sell people that I know what I'm doing. There's 400 people that have attested to that say, yes, he has. So making sure that first layer, that profile is optimized from top to bottom. Now, the second layer is your growing of your network. And what I love about LinkedIn, 2 things. Number 1, you're allowed 30,000 connections, which is 6 times larger than Facebook. And number 2, you can specifically build your network around the people that you want to build it with. You don't have to accept digital marketers. You don't have to accept VAs from the Philippines if you do not want to. The best thing to do is to write down exactly who your best client is. How old are they? Are they male or female? What industry do they come from? What is their job title? Is there a specific type of company that they work for? And to Josh's point, you can search for those people and you can connect with them. So you're now building an audience of raving fans of people that you can have a genuine conversation with, which brings me to the third layer, and that's actually messaging people. So I have something called the magic formula, and this is where things go awry. You know, how Josh and I initially connected was me messaging him on LinkedIn. I saw that he had a podcast, and I have one as well. And I said, I would love to hear about what you're doing, share what I'm doing, and see how we could support each other. So basically, the 3 steps to messaging someone properly is not a 17-page paragraph drunkalog trying to sell them and pitch them the entire way. Step 1, you mention the person's name. You know, hey, Josh, great to be connected. Step 2 is the reason why you're reaching out without pitching or selling, but bridging the gap between why you should connect. You know, I saw you have a podcast, as do I, would love to hear about it, share more about mine to see how we can support each other here on LinkedIn. So I did 2 things there. Number 1, I bridged the gap about how we should connect and why we should connect. We both have a podcast. Number 2, I used the most important word in the English language that you can use when you are cold messaging someone. It's the word support. I messaged someone the other day on LinkedIn. She has about 11,000 connections. She said, Scott, listen. She goes, I just want to let you know, I have close to 11,000 connections. You are the first person ever to reach out to me the way that you did, letting me know that you just wanted to talk and see how we can collaborate and connect and support one another. You are the first person to ever do that. So that goes a long way. Now, the third part is something called a CTA, a call to action. So if you don't ask a question of when someone can connect, how are they ever going to answer it? If I was just to say, you know, Josh, you know, let me know when's good to talk, you're never going to tell me because I haven't asked. You have to ask to GET. You have to ask in order to get. So I would basically say, do you have any time next week for a call? So you state the person's name, the reason for reaching out, would you like to speak? That's it. So when you're messaging those people in that way, you're going to get a very high response rate because you're not selling or pitching. You're looking to connect and support. Now, the cherry on top is content creation. LinkedIn is the most underutilized social platform out there right now, but it has the highest organic reach and the most engaged way to get your content out there on all social media. Now, the simple thing is this. Number 1, you need to post 1 piece of content a day. I don't care if it's a post, if you're writing an article, or you're doing a video. You need to produce 1 piece of content a day. Number 2, you need to do 2 things if you're going to do that. Number 1, educate your audience. If you're building this audience of this exact avatar that could benefit from something that you offer, educate them why. If you have a coaching program that is specifically geared towards real estate agents, start building your content around what problems you solve for real estate agents. So don't talk about what you want to talk about. Talk about what they want to hear. Always put yourself in the driver's seat, the passenger seat of that person that you're speaking to. The second thing is you want to inform people. Educating and informing are the 2 best ways of natural engagement on LinkedIn. Meaning you want to educate them on what you're doing and how you can help without pitching or selling, but informing them of something they didn't know. You know, something easy. You know, for those that have that don't understand meditation, you know, here's a great way to start your meditation practice. Start with a guided meditation. Here's a link to one that I use on YouTube. It really helps reprogram your subconscious. I hope you enjoy. Leaving people better. So now you've been optimizing your profile. You've been building a network of the potential tribe of buyers and connectors that would most benefit from what you provide. Now you're messaging them the right way, but also it's called the push-pull. The push is you reaching out to people to see if they want to talk. The pull is you're basically casting that line out into the ocean of engaging content where you're reeling people in an organic way because you're leaving them better by providing value that actually benefits their business. So if people want to really understand how simple it is, if you follow just those 4 simplistic steps, you'll start to see some traction.
I love that, man. I love when people bring in meat like that because there's a lot of different ways to maximize on LinkedIn, but I live and die by what you're talking about here. I mean, I will be honest, there's been times for us that content has been hard. But what I found is, especially in doing this for so long, is you do not have to make every piece of content.
No.
People care about your opinion. And so when you have, so for example, you have something, say you have somebody who joins your, they're following you, they're liking what you're doing and everything. You just go out and say, okay, all I have to do is bring in like a Harvard Business Review article or something and put my opinion on it. That's all it takes.
Yep.
So yeah, anyways, there's so many ways to maximize that, Scott. So do you have any other last information for us here?
Yeah. Number one, don't overcomplicate the process. As human beings, if something is too easy, the natural thing for us to do is to try to make it really hard.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn, it may seem scary to people, but don't overthink it. Just focus on connecting with people. Don't focus on the sale. The money shows up when the impact is felt.
Right.
So the more people that you really seek to impact in a meaningful and thoughtful way, you're going to start picking up some clients. Just like you, I went from 0 to a 7-figure coaching practice in 3.5 years. And that didn't happen overnight. It's ramped up.
Right.
But I've had more conversations that you can imagine, and I enjoy every single one because it may have not led to a sale. It may have led to an introduction. It may have led to a podcast. It may have led to an online summit. It doesn't have to always lead to a monetary exchange. I'm just as happy getting a sale as I am getting on someone's podcast or doing a free training or doing an online free summit, because the more value I leave, the more people can hear me and understand me and get to know me, the money will then show up. So don't overcomplicate the process and seek to connect with as many people as you can.
I love that. I'm just going to repeat that to reiterate it. It's just do not overcomplicate the process. It's simple. Make sure you're just doing it. It's something that everybody can do. You could do this in 5 minutes a day. You realistically could. And people just think it's the hardest thing, but 5 minutes a day, that's all you got to do. Well, Scott, thanks so much for coming on today and sharing this with us, because I think our audience is going to love it.
Awesome. And again, if anybody does want to connect, my website, scottaaron.net, it's got my books, it's got a free call, it's got the free download. And feel free to connect with me on social media. Obviously, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And, Josh, just really grateful for your friendship and the things that we've been working on, and just really grateful to be in the group and really leave them better. And guys, just, again, don't overcomplicate the process. Whether you're moving forward a millimeter or a mile, just take those steps forward and you will see the return.